The forgotten warship. The galaxy laughed at humanity. In the grand hall of the Galactic Council, thousands of alien species gathered. Their fleets floated in orbit above a golden world, shining like blades in the stars. They came not for war, but for mockery. At the center of the hall, alien commanders pointed at the images of Earth, their voices filled with scorn. "They are weak," hissed a scaled creature, its voice sharp as glass, barely out of their cradle. "They build ships, yes, but ships for trade, not for battle." Another, a tall being of metal and light, pulsed with laughter. "Humans dare call themselves explorers, yet they cannot defend even a single system." The chamber echoed with laughter. For the Council, humanity was a child, a race to be ignored, mocked, and forgotten. But far away, in the dark silence of Earth's orbit, something stirred. For decades, satellites had drifted past it, seeing nothing but a broken hulk of steel. Scientists dismissed it as space debris, perhaps a relic from Earth's earliest attempts at leaving its homeworld. No one gave it a second thought. Until tonight. As the Council's fleets lit their skies with weapons, showing off their strength, a strange energy pulsed near Earth's moon. The hulk of steel that everyone ignored lit up with faint blue veins, as if waking from a long sleep. Hidden panels shifted. Dust drifted into space. It was not debris. It was a warship. On Earth, astronomers noticed first. In a small observatory, a young scientist named Alara stared at her screen, heart racing. The object by the moon was moving, not drifting, moving with purpose. She called her colleagues, but their words froze as the warship powered fully. Engines ignited with a deep glow. Old systems hummed with life, their design older than anything modern humanity could build. The forgotten warship turned, slowly but deliberately, toward the galactic fleets mocking humanity from afar. Back in the council hall, laughter continued until alarms blared. Holograms flickered with warnings. One of their patrol ships near Earth had been vaporized, gone in a single strike of blue energy. "What weapon was that?" shouted one commander. "No known human ship carries such power." Another barked, its many eyes wide with confusion. The hall fell silent. Then the feed appeared. A single ship, massive and ancient, moving with terrifying precision. It was human. The warship drifted closer to the Council's armada. Alien captains rushed to reposition their fleets. Thousands of warships locked weapons on the lone vessel, confident in their overwhelming numbers. One alien admiral sneered, "A single relic will not frighten us." But before they could act, the forgotten warship fired again. A beam of pure energy cut through the void, striking the Council's largest battleship. The alien ship was the pride of 3 empires, armored and shielded, meant to withstand entire wars. In seconds, it was gone, shattered into burning fragments that scattered like dust. Gasps filled the council chamber. The laughter was gone. Now there was only fear. "Impossible," one whispered. "No human could have built this," said another. "Then who did?" The warship did not answer. It moved slowly, silently, its weapons glowing like a predator that had just awakened. On Earth, Ilara could hardly breathe. She whispered to herself, "It was never debris. It was waiting." The Galactic Council scrambled to respond. Dozens of ships opened fire, unleashing missiles, beams, and plasma storms. The void filled with light as thousands of weapons struck the warship. When the fire cleared, the ancient ship still stood. Its shields glowed faintly, its hull barely scratched. The warship fired once more. Another alien cruiser vanished. Then another. Panic spread across the alien fleets. Ships pulled back, commanders shouting contradictory orders. The Mockery had turned into chaos. Humanity's weakness had become a nightmare. In the council hall, whispers filled the silence. If one warship survived, how many more could there be? What if Earth is hiding an entire fleet? No one had answers. On Earth, Alara sent frantic reports to governments, but leaders had no control over the ship. It moved on its own, guided by systems older than any human alive. Some said it was automated, others believed it waited for a commander. But one thing was clear: humanity's secret was out. The forgotten warship had awakened, and the galaxy would never laugh again. Whispers of the hidden fleet, the galaxy could not stop talking. In markets, in war councils and hidden chambers across alien worlds, one question echoed: where did the human warship come from? The council had mocked Earth for being weak, but now silence ruled. Entire fleets had seen the forgotten warship erase their champions in seconds. Fear rippled faster than light. On Earth, confusion spread just as quickly. News channels played shaky telescope recordings again and again. The once dead hulk near the moon now moved with terrifying grace, its weapons glowing like ancient suns. People asked, who built it? When? Why had no one ever spoken of it? In a quiet government archive beneath Geneva, dusty records were pulled. From vaults sealed for centuries, files marked Class Omega revealed fragments of an old project. The words were clear but unbelievable. The Fleet Initiative. Generals read in silence, their faces pale. The document spoke of a time long forgotten when humanity had barely reached the stars. They had met something. No one knew exactly what. A threat so great that the brightest minds of the era built weapons in secret far beyond their time. Warships, hundreds of them. But after the danger passed, the ships were buried, hidden across Earth and beyond, erased from history. Now, the secret was bleeding back into the open. In the Pacific, fishermen reported strange lights beneath the waves, lines of glowing blue stretching for miles. In the Sahara, nomads saw the sand tremble, patterns forming like buried machines awakening. And in Antarctica, scientists fled their outposts as tremors split the ice, revealing faint metallic arcs beneath the frozen crust. Whispers spread across the internet. There's more than one. Alara, the astronomer who had first seen the warship move, sat in her observatory surrounded by screens. She barely slept, her eyes red, her hands shaking as she processed signal after signal. The warship was not just broadcasting power, it was sending messages, coded pulses across deep space. She finally cracked one sequence. It said only, Unit 1 active, awaiting fleet response. Her stomach twisted. Unit 1. That meant there were Units 2, 3, maybe hundreds. At the same time, in the Galactic Council, arguments exploded. Some demanded an immediate strike on Earth before more ships awoke. Others warned that such an act might provoke the very fleet they feared. One alien elder, her voice trembling, whispered the words that silenced the chamber. If that was their weakest, what is their strongest? Meanwhile, the forgotten warship continued to patrol silently near the moon, its presence a constant reminder that the galaxy's balance had shifted overnight. On Earth, an old man named Commander Arik sat in a nursing home, watching the news. He had once worn a uniform no one remembered, fought in missions erased from history. His hands trembled, but not with fear, with recognition. They found one, he muttered to himself. His nurse looked at him in confusion. He leaned closer to the screen, whispering words from his past. The first will rise, then the fleet will answer. Elsewhere, in the deep tunnels beneath Nevada, a secret installation trembled. Long abandoned, its lights flickered to life for the first time in centuries. Soldiers stationed nearby thought it was an earthquake, until the ground split and a massive hangar door began to open, dust pouring into the night. Inside, shadows moved, shapes too large to be machines of men. The whispers grew louder. Humanity was not weak. Humanity had been waiting. The aliens, however, did not wait. A coalition fleet of thousands prepared near the edge of Earth's system. They spoke of containment, of teaching humans their place. But beneath, their bravado was fear. The Council could not afford to be mocked. If humans truly had a fleet, the galaxy itself might change forever. Back in her observatory, Alara connected one final signal, It was faint, broken, but unmistakable. A voice, mechanical yet human, echoed through her speakers. Unit 1 operational. Units 2 through 12, preparing for emergence. Her heart stopped. 12. There were at least 12 of them, maybe more. She grabbed her recorder, her voice shaking as she spoke to the world. It's not just one warship. It's not a myth. There is a fleet, and it's waking up. In that moment, every screen, every channel, every whisper across Earth, and the galaxy carried the same truth. The first warship was not alone, and humanity's forgotten legacy was only beginning to rise. The Council's retaliation. The Galactic Council could not hide its shame. For centuries they had mocked humans, calling them fragile, harmless, barely worth notice. But one ancient warship had shattered their pride in minutes. The videos spread. Across the stars, millions of alien citizens replayed the moment their strongest battleship was erased in a single shot. The council chambers buzzed with fury. "This cannot stand," thundered the voice of an armored reptilian admiral, his claws scratching the table. "If humans awaken more of these relics, every empire here will lose its power." Others nodded, their eyes flashing with fear and anger. "Then we strike before it is too late." And so they gathered fleets. Thousands of warships, sleek, towering, glowing with weapons, set course for Earth. It would be the largest military operation in Council history. They called it the Cleansing. On Earth, astronomers saw them first. Great swarms of ships appeared at the edge of the solar system, more than humanity had ever imagined. Alara watched through her telescope, her hands trembling. "They're coming," she whispered. "All of them." Governments scrambled in panic. Politicians screamed in hidden bunkers. News channels declared humanity's doom. Against such numbers, even the forgotten warship could not stand. But the warship did not run. It hovered silently near the moon, its weapons glowing brighter as if waiting for the enemy to arrive. Deep below the Earth's surface, the whispers grew louder. Tremors shook deserts. The oceans glowed with faint light. Across Antarctica, cracks in the ice widened, metallic edges gleaming beneath. Humanity's hidden legacy was waking, but not fast enough. The first wave of alien ships entered Earth's orbit. The sky filled with their shadows, blotting out the stars. Cities below fell, silent as people looked upward, fear in their eyes. Alien commanders broadcast a message across all channels. "Humans, you are children. You dared to mock the Council with ancient tricks. Now you will be punished." Their voices dripped with arrogance, but beneath the words, fear lingered. The Council's armada opened fire. Beams of plasma and storms of missiles streaked through the void, aimed at the lone warship near the moon. The skies burned with light. Earth shook as the bombardment rained down. When the fire cleared, the warship still stood. Its shields pulsed faintly, holding strong. Slowly, it turned, aiming its ancient weapons. Then it fired. The blast tore through a dozen alien cruisers in one strike. Ships that had survived centuries of wars were reduced to burning fragments in seconds. The alien fleets reeled back, their confidence shattering. On Earth, cheers erupted in underground bunkers. For the first time, humans saw hope, but the aliens were relentless. They swarmed, surrounding the lone warship. Waves of fire rained upon it from every side. Even its mighty shields began to flicker. And then, the world trembled. The Pacific Ocean split open, a roar rising from the deep. Water spiraled into the sky as something massive stirred beneath. Glowing blue lines carved across the waves, and with a deafening surge, a colossal warship rose from the sea. Its hull dripped with water, shining with ancient power. In the Sahara Desert, sandstorms raged as the ground cracked apart. Buried metal doors lifted, releasing a storm of dust as another ship, larger than the first, crawled into the light. In Antarctica, the ice collapsed, mountains breaking apart as a black warship ascended, its engines glowing like fire beneath. The snow. The world watched in awe. 3 more ancient giants had awakened. Alien fleets faltered. Panic spread across their formations. "Impossible! How many are there? Commanders screamed. The warships moved as if guided by one mind. They formed a wall around Earth, their weapons glowing brighter than the stars. From her observatory, Ilara cried out, her voice carried on every broadcast. It's not one ship, it's a fleet. Humanity has a fleet. The alien armada tried to retreat, but it was too late. The hidden fleet fired in unison. Beams of energy tore across the void, ripping through alien cruisers, slicing entire squadrons apart. Explosions lit the darkness, fragments raining like meteors. In the council chambers, silence fell as the reports came in. Their armada, thousands of ships strong, was breaking. Against a fleet that should not exist. Against humans they had once mocked. On Earth, people filled the streets cheering and weeping as the skies above glowed with battle. Fear turned to pride. Despair turned to hope. But Marcus, now summoned from his exile by secret agents, watched the chaos with cold eyes. He whispered, "This is only the beginning." Because in the shadows of the galaxy, whispers spread beyond. Even the Council. Other powers older and darker had heard the fleet's awakening, and they were watching. The fleet awakens. The void of space was no longer silent. Where moments ago Earth seemed fragile, now the skies above it thundered with steel and fire. From oceans, deserts, ice, and mountains, the ancient warships of humanity had risen. Each one was different in design, yet all carried the same glowing patterns. Blue veins of light running across black hulls, engines burning like small suns. Billions of humans stood on rooftops, beaches, and valleys, watching in awe as their forgotten guardians returned. No one had ever imagined Earth could hold such secrets. Children pointed at the skies, shouting with joy. The old wept with pride. The world that once feared destruction now felt something it hadn't felt in centuries. Strength. The alien armada froze in disbelief. Their formations wavered, ships colliding as panic spread. What they had mocked now terrified them. On the bridge of one awakened warship, Commander Arik, dragged from his retirement by agents who remembered his past, stood, tall, his old uniform hanging loose on his shoulders. His voice, however, carried the same power as before. Status report. The ship's AI responded calm and sharp. All systems operational. Weapons charged. Fleet link established. Arik turned, seeing holograms of other commanders appear. Before him, humans young and old, chosen by the awakened ships themselves. The vessels did not wait for orders from governments. They had selected their captains, as if remembering the bloodlines of those who once built them. For the first time, the fleet was united. Alien commanders screamed through the Council's channels. "Destroy them! They are only a handful compared to us." Thousands of alien ships surged forward, plasma storms and missile waves flooding the void. The stars themselves seemed to vanish under the light of the attack, but the fleet answered. From Earth's orbit, beams of pure energy cut through the chaos. Human warships moved with terrifying precision, their weapons older, yet more advanced than anything the galaxy had ever seen. Alien cruisers shattered in seconds. Battleships broke apart like glass. Entire squadrons erased before they could fire a second volley. The Council's fleet had numbers, but numbers could not stop legends. In the Pacific, people screamed in wonder, as one colossal ship, the largest yet, rose fully from the sea. Its hull stretched for miles, waves crashing like tsunamis as it climbed into the sky. Its cannons lit, and with a single blast it erased 20 alien destroyers in one shot. In Antarctica, another warship shed its icy prison, firing lances of light that split the heavens. Across deserts and forests, hidden launch silos opened, releasing swarms of smaller strike craft that darted like hawks into alien formations. The aliens had come to punish humanity. Instead, they were being torn apart. In the council chambers light years away, leaders argued in chaos. "This cannot be possible. No species hides such power," one cried. Another whispered the truth none wanted to hear. "We laughed at them. And now the galaxy will pay for our arrogance." Back on Earth, Ilara stood outside her observatory, her face lit by the fire of the battle above. She whispered into her recorder. They called us weak. They said we were nothing. But now they know what humanity truly is. The battle raged for hours. Alien fleets broke apart, commanders abandoning their formations, ships fleeing into the dark. The proud Council Armada, once a wall of thousands, was reduced to fragments and fire. But even as victory came closer, Aric's eyes narrowed. His ship's sensors picked up something deeper, signals not from the Council but from beyond, strange whispers, faint pulses of energy leaking through the void. He recognized them, old warnings from his past. Not yet, he muttered. The true test is not yet. As the last of the Council's fleet retreated, limping back to the edge of the solar system, humanity's fleet remained in formation. Hundreds of warships, their lights shining like stars, hovered in silent defiance. The galaxy now knew Earth was no longer prey, and yet whispers spread through both humans and aliens alike. If so many ships had awakened in one battle, how many still slept? Was Earth's fleet hundreds strong? Thousands? No one could say. On the Council's remaining channels, a single alien voice cracked with fear. We mocked them, we laughed, but we have awakened something we cannot control. On Earth, Ilara listened to the same signal. She felt a chill, because deep down, she knew the warship was not finished. Its engines pulsed with a rhythm, a silent countdown to something greater. And above it all, Commander Aric stared into the endless dark. The Council had been defeated, but in his heart, he felt no triumph. He whispered words no one around him could hear. The fleet was not built for them. It was built for what comes after. The stars shimmered as if listening. In the silence that followed the great battle, the galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath. Because humanity's answer had only just begun. Humanity's answer. The battle above Earth had ended, but the silence was heavier than the noise of war. Where once alien fleets darkened the skies, now only burning wreckage drifted. Shattered hulls of Council warships floated in orbit, glowing like dying stars. Humanity's fleet, dozens of ancient warships, colossal and proud, stood victorious, their lights shining across the void. On Earth, crowds poured into the streets. People embraced, cried, and shouted with pride. The world had been mocked, humiliated, treated as nothing. And yet, when the time came, it had risen higher than anyone believed. But inside the flagship, Commander Aric did not celebrate. He stood at the viewing glass, watching the broken alien ships retreat into the darkness. His face was carved with stone-like calm. He knew this was not the end. The ship's AI broke the silence. Commander, enemy fleets have retreated. Immediate threat neutralized. Aric shook his head slowly. No, this wasn't the real threat. They were only the test. At the same moment in her observatory, Ilara decoded another fragment of signal. Her computer pulsed with strange energy patterns, faint but steady. She leaned close, her heart pounding. The translation came in short words. Fleet awakened. Next phase begins. Prepare for the greater war. She dropped her pen. Her breath froze. Greater war across the galaxy, panic spread through alien worlds. Survivors of the Council's armada carried stories of unstoppable human warships, ships that shrugged off volleys of plasma, ships that erased cruisers with one strike. Empires that once laughed at Earth now whispered in fear. Merchants, soldiers, even civilians all repeated the same phrase, do not provoke the humans. But fear carried further than the Council. In the dark reaches beyond the mapped stars, something listened, something old, something that remembered humanity's fleet from before. Back on Earth, the fleet gathered in orbit. The warships hovered, in perfect formation, their engines glowing faintly like watchful eyes. People below stared at them not as machines, but as guardians. For the first time in history, Earth felt protected. Aric walked the bridge, his crew watching him with silent respect. A young officer finally spoke, her voice uncertain. Sir, what happens now? Do we chase them? Do we destroy the council? Completely? Arik stopped. His hand rested on the cold steel rail. His voice was low, heavy. No, the council is not our true enemy. They mocked us because they never understood why these ships were built. The crew exchanged nervous looks. Arik turned toward them, his eyes burning with the weight of truth. These warships weren't made to fight the council. They were built to fight what comes through the dark. Silence. Then the ship's AI confirmed his words. Core archives unlocked. Warning, primary directive. Defend against entities. Beyond the void. On Earth, Ilara broadcast the translation of the same message she decoded. Her voice spread across channels worldwide. The fleet was never meant for other empires. It was meant for something else. Something worse. As her words echoed across the world, the Shadow Gate pulsed. For a moment everyone thought it was gone, collapsed in the battle. But now faint cracks of light spread across the sky. A low vibration rolled through space, felt even on Earth's surface. People stopped celebrating. They looked up again, fear returning. From the depths of the gate, a shape stirred. Larger than any warship, larger even than the fleets combined. A shadow the size of a moon pressed against the rift, its outline jagged and alien, its presence suffocating. Alarms screamed across the fleet. Commanders shouted into their channels. Weapons charged again. But this time no one was certain if even the awakened warships would be enough. Arik gripped the console, his voice steady. This is it. The council was only the beginning. This is the war they built us for. The shadow shifted again, its form bending space itself as if reality tried to reject it. A single eye opened within the darkness, glowing red, staring directly at Earth. Billions felt it at once. Not just saw it, felt it. An ancient hunger, a cold intelligence pressing against their minds. On Earth, children cried without knowing why. Animals screamed in the night. Even oceans trembled as if the planet itself remembered. Ilara whispered in terror. What is that? Arik's voice came over the comms, carrying to every ship, every human, every corner of the world. It's the enemy the fleet was built to face. And now, humanity must answer. The warships aligned, their weapons glowing brighter than stars. Engines roared, formations locked, Earth itself trembling with their power. The sky burned with light as the fleet prepared for a war beyond anything the galaxy had ever known. And then, the gate split wide open. The story ended not with silence, but with the promise of another battle. A battle humanity could not run from. A battle that would decide not just Earth, not just the Council, but the fate of the galaxy itself. Because when the void called, humanity did not kneel. Humanity answered.